Welcome back to the North American LCS for Echo Fox versus TSM. I'm Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns, joined by strategic caster Isaac Azael Cummings-Bailey. You got some strategies for us today, Azael?
My strategy was to let you carry me.
Well, I hope my back is ready to go. You got a lot of faith, my friend. Let's go ahead and jump into things by looking at the starting rosters here today. Selecting blue side, it's Echo Fox with Huni in the top lane, Dardoch in the jungle, Demonte at mid, Lost bottom, Smoothie on support, and Coach Think Card.
Opposite them on the red side today is going to be TSM. In the top lane, Hanser. In the jungle, Grig. Mid laner, Bjergsen. Bot and support going to be Sven and Mithy, with head coach Lustboy and strategic coach Song.
Now, yesterday, Echo Fox picked up a win versus CLG, but that win didn't come without its struggles.
Yeah, it definitely didn't. I mean, Lost and Smoothie fell behind in lane for the first time, but Smoothie, his engages helped to bring them back when they were struggling. His engages on Rakan were very, very good. And, you know, when they were behind, I think Huni was kind of trying too hard to create advantages. He was kind of really reaching to, you know, find engages with the equalizer instead of being that follow-up. And it was on Smoothie to kind of find them and create those team fights for them. Eventually they did, and they took the win.
Now, if Huni reaches for the types of plays that were exploited yesterday by TSM, that could be an opening for this team to find a win. In yesterday's game, TSM were actually able to punish the Golden Guardians many times for their very aggressive plays. And if Echo Fox make those same errors, TSM could be able to turn that into success here today.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people talk about how TSM kind of sits back and waits for other teams to make mistakes. Echo Fox is one of those teams that sometimes gets a little bit ahead of themselves and can give you those openings to punish. And, you know, on TSM Legends, Mithy had talked a lot about how he felt that they weren't playing as a team, that they didn't have that sense of brotherhood, and they needed to fix that. They needed to give each other direct feedback, you know, fix their problems really quickly if they wanted to improve and make playoffs. And they got a win yesterday. I think getting another win under their belt here can make a big difference in the standings, but also more importantly for the team morale and for the team atmosphere.
Yeah, talking about that team atmosphere, working together as a group, working together as that coherent five-man unit. You've got so much star power on this team. If you look at the solo lanes, you've got Hanser and Bjergsen, who have been on the most successful LCS team for the longest time. You brought in Sven and Mithy, who were on G2, who won so much in Europe, and now to face the struggles that you're facing, you need to find those wins to not only have faith in yourselves, but to restore the faith of the fans, too, who really want to see this team succeed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think when all the individuals have had so much success, it's very easy to be like, well, it's not me, it must be them, right? And you kind of just look to yourself then and you say, all right, well, I'm not going to be the one to lose us the game. I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to do okay, but it must be someone else's fault. And, you know, Mithy kind of talked again. It was a very interesting episode. If you haven't watched it, I would recommend it if you are a TSM fan for their most recent TSM Legends episode. But, you know, talk a lot about some of the struggles that the team had gone through, and it was very kind of candid, you know, talking even about the fact that everyone is trying not to lose, trying not to be the guy to throw the game, and no one is willing to be that guy that kind of sacrifices for the team, that says, all right, I may have to die here, but it will get us something else, that it will get us something greater. And I think that is a very important part of League of Legends. There is no true thing at, like, there is no 100% play, right? Nothing always works. You have to be willing to take those risks. You are hoping that you're taking intelligent, calculated risks like 60-40s,
you want to minimize
30s, but there's always a chance it can go wrong, and someone needs to be the one to step up and make that action happen.
And for TSM, that lack, that missing element is what is such a pain point for so many fans of the team and for the team's own successes. Oftentimes, you watch a TSM game, and it seems like even when a lead is built, even when they have made plays or found successes punishing their opponents, like what we saw yesterday against Golden Guardians, they will always err on the side of caution. They will play it very slowly, which can be a bit frustrating because you want to see all that star power get realized and watch them go for the throat. Watch them be able to turn those small leads into bigger ones.
Exactly, and it can be even more frustrating because against a top team, you are giving them more and more opportunities to get an advantage, to come back into that game. You can't risk that against a top-level team like Echo Fox.
Well, as we get into Champion Select, we'll see if TSM can go 2-0 this week after the 0-2 of last week, turn those fortunes completely around, or if Echo Fox will find themselves another win here today. Going into the bans, it's Ezreal and Braum taken off the table immediately by Echo Fox. TSM responds with a quick Gangplank ban, and then into the Aatrox, one of those evergreen red side bans that recently has just been there for every single game along with Nocturne.
Yeah, it's over 90% ban rate, in competitive play on this patch on red side. So it's pretty insane. It basically is a must ban. But a lot of targeting towards Huni, taking away the GP, taking away the Aatrox. We do see a lot of Nocturne, a lot of Zoe getting banned red side first rotation as well. One of those will be up and available, and does have the opportunity for that to be picked. And they may be actually looking for more of a trade, right? Here, when you leave both of those OPs up, okay, great, they can grab Nocturne, but then you're leaving the ability for Bjergsen to respond and maybe take a Zoe.
And Bjergsen's Zoe yesterday was so instrumental in their victory against Golden Guardians, just because of the fact that so many of the plays and those punishes that we talked about came off the back of Sleepy Trouble Bubbles, and Bjergsen just 2/3 health chunking Mickey every single time he decided to go past his turret. And it looks like TSM will go after that pick here again, responding to that Nocturne. Like you said, if there's 2 OPs left up, just leave them both up, trade them back.
Exactly. And then the only question is, as TSM, okay, well, as Echo Fox, they're deciding consciously, okay, we are giving them Zoe because we are taking Nocturne. You have to worry then, do they have a plan to counteract this? Is that plan something that we need to, be concerned about? Is there some counter pick or real answer to Zoe? And if you feel that, hey, no, I can play around any matchup, then it's not a concern. But, that's some of the complications that come into these drafts where people have to think, multiple steps ahead.
And we are seeing another top-tier jungler picked up early on, the Kindred. Grab for TSM. We've seen so much of this champion after the buffs. I remember it was kind of a conversation that I had with you and some other people in the office in weeks past about how, man, it seems like these Kindred buffs just keep coming in one after another. I wonder how long it's going to take before we see this champion finally start to see some play again. And now that that champion has hit the meta, it has hit like a truck. We are seeing so much of her in the jungle.
Yeah, we really are. I mean, it's a champion that I think has a fairly good early game, has the potential to snowball and take over a game completely, but also has strong utility in the team fighting ultimate, right? So, I think that it's just has so many ways to succeed that it's a strong pick for any carry-oriented jungler. Also, individually into that Nocturne matchup, that is a thing where, Nocturne, yes, you're going to be trying to avoid the Kindred and more looking for side lane fights and these sorts of things, but in the 5v5, if your only recourse is to one-shot someone in the backline and Kindred just ultimates that, well, what are you supposed to do afterwards?
Not a very
Nocturne is one punch. That's about it.
Yeah, Nocturne's not going to have a fun time if he can't get those assassinations. We'll see what Dardoch can do on that pick. He will be backed up by the Varus and the Morgana, picked up there by Echo Fox as TSM decides to grab their own AD carry before the second round of the bans hit, grabbing the Lucian there for Sven.
Yeah, the Morgana Varus bottom lane, it's probably going to be poke Varus. That's mostly what we have been seeing. But this is the same kind of bottom lane that we've seen a lot. It was actually played a ton by Clutch, by Apollo and Hawkwoe. This is one of their strongest bottom lanes, and it has very, very strong all-in at level 6. It has good push and poke in the early laning phase, but if you hit an ultimate from the Varus or you hit a binding from Morgana post level 6, that all-in is so hard to deal with because you're going to have it followed up by the Varus ultimate if you hit a binding. Then the Morgana ultimate's going to be coming through. Everything becomes guaranteed, and you can really 100-0 people. It does give a lot of engage options here as well. You already have the Nocturne, you have the Varus ultimate, the Morgana bindings. There's a lot of ways for them to find fights, and so far, TSM is quite squishy, so that is a bit of a concern if someone gets caught.
TSM must be thinking the same thing right now. They're looking at one of those tankier supports, somebody who can go in, start the fight off for himself, as well as get out of some of that chain CC using the ultimate. They'll pick up the Alistar there for Mithy as their 4th pick.
Yeah, it's another ability to be proactive. It's someone who can start the fights for TSM, who can look to be a difference maker. Mithy wants to be that guy who goes down fighting, who is looking for the way to win, and I think that putting him on the Alistar gives him a good opportunity to be able to find engages. Echo Fox very often does draft full squishy comps. That's much more their playstyle. High DPS, low survivability, depend on your outplay and your individual mechanics. And Alistar is someone who can find those engages and really punish a team like that.
And TSM has tried so hard to keep Huni away from something that's higher damage, away from one of those carry-style picks. You mentioned the GP banned along with the Aatrox in the first rotation. Kinnan and Rumble both banned out in the second rotation. They'll still end up getting Huni the Gnar. He still has something with that damage, that split push capability. And TSM will think about picking the Mundo into it. This is a matchup that can go very poorly for Mundo if the Gnar is allowed to just run wild in the split push scenario. Black Cleaver, Blade of the Ruined King, itemization like that can make things very difficult. But they will switch over to the Cho'Gath instead.
Interesting. So the Cho'Gath, I feel like, has a higher chance of honestly being punished in this 1v1. But at the same time, if Cho'Gath gets ahead, if Cho'Gath is actually, getting to that certain point where you become too tanky, you have your tabbies, you have your Thornmail, you have all these items, and your innate sustain from your passive, you become very hard to actually push out of lane. You're going to have a lot of effectiveness in team fights, especially when you are, again, against this squishy team. 1,000 damage feast on any squishy character is pretty terrifying. So when you're engaging into that Cho'Gath, that is very good. It's also something that works well in combination with the Kindred ultimate, because if you have your feast available coming out of the Kindred ult, that is a basically guaranteed kill on anyone who is already low HP in that ult.
I mean, Kindred Ultimate is one of those abilities that just turns everything so chaotic. It makes it so everyone has to go to the same area. Everyone's saving abilities for right when it falls, and then there's that snap of the fingers moment as soon as it goes down where everything's all decided in an instant. And if that instant happens to include, like you say, a 1,000 damage true damage burst, it's much more likely to go in your favor.
Definitely is. This is going to be a good one. Echo Fox and TSM facing off here. TSM trying to fight for those playoff hopes, and Echo Fox looking to get back on top.
On to the Rift for the third game of the day.
Let's
Echo
go.
Fox versus TSM. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we're not just starting off the split anymore either. We're getting close to the end here. Every single one of these games could determine where you end up in playoffs, or even if you get to go to playoffs. Both of these squads want to make sure they finish out this season strong. Echo Fox hanging out in the brush up here. You can see Dardoch just camping out in the pixel brush. Make sure nobody from TSM wants to do anything too cheeky early on. Doesn't look like they'll do so. Everyone content just towing the line of scrimmage.
Yep, playing that line of scrimmage, and we're down to the nitty-gritty, as you say. Not that many games left to play. Still a ridiculously tight league overall. There are so few games between the bottom and the top. Yes, TL is starting to kind of spread out a little bit, starting to pick up more wins and secure that first place spot, but there's so many teams that are really in that playoff hunt.
Rig will walk very close to this brush. We'll see if maybe he ends up walking too close. Doesn't look like it just yet, and as the players get ready for those first jungle camp spawns, quick reminder, tickets are still on sale for the finals in Oakland. Head over to lolesports.com/tickets to pick up your set so you can join us at the Oracle Arena for that climactic finale of Summer Split 2018.
It's definitely going to be a good one. Pretty hype.
Especially, like you say, when the standings have been so close like this all the time, it's very, very difficult to know who's even going to end up there, how this is going to play out at the end of the day. There's so many possibilities for who could go there. And we even saw in Spring Split huge upsets in playoffs. The first time TSM never made it to the semifinals, never made it to the finals, you could even say.
Yeah, and even the changing of fortunes of some of these teams down the stretch, right? Cloud9 was Cloud 10th for quite a while, right? And they are right back in the mix of things. They have been putting on such a strong performance down the stretch. Since Blabber has come in, they have been crushing it, and that can give you a kind of a different idea of the standings where a team is looking like they're fairly low, but actually are very strong in current form, right? And then you have a team like Optic, who may not be thought of as one of the tip-top teams in the league, but they have won 5 straight games. This is a team that is crushing it, and on that sort of form, you could beat anyone.
Top side, we'll see if TSM can make a play onto Huni here, who will go forward on the Mega Gnar, turns back into Mini Gnar right as Grig shows up, making sure that he makes the gank onto that more vulnerable opposing player, and First Blood goes over to TSM. Huni, punish.
Nicely done there from Grig. The level 2 gank from Kindred is not something I think Huni was expecting. Almost always they will wait for that level 3, for the Mounting Dread, the slow, that 3-hit execute, and instead, Grig just smart pathing, gets up there, gets behind Huni, and Huni just accepts his death, not even going to blow the flash. So, this is another situation where you're kind of shutting down someone in their split push win condition. We talked about if Haunter can kind of survive this, if he can get enough gold in his pockets to really get super tanky. then it becomes very tough for Gnar to kind of continue those advantages and to really have as big of an impact in the game.
Every time I see a play like that, I'm always reminded of an old Saint Vicious stream that I watched in season 2 or 3, where I believe he leveled up his Amumu Q at level 2 on accident, just ganks the mid laner and kills him anyway, and says nobody ever expects it at level 2. And sometimes it is exactly what you need. It's that surprise factor that takes down your opponent top laner. And Huni, for someone who for so long was the star player of Echo Fox, like the name that was on everybody's lips talking about this team, has been struggling recently.
He really has, and you know, it's been a while since I think that he has been kind of dominating. You know, in the early parts of the split, people really were talking about Huni still in the MVP conversation. I feel like ever since even a bit before Rift Rivals, he has not been having those same Huni level games. He does have instances where he's dominating lane and he's able to really get ahead, but it feels he's more consistently being punished. It feels that he's having a more difficult time actually snowballing those leads into victories, and he's having to depend more on the rest of his squad.
And on the side of TSM, I like the fact that they're recognizing, hey, this guy is an avenue that we can attack. This is a guy who likes to play aggressive. This is someone who, if we're going to get that surprise factor of the level 2 gank, is likely going to be the most vulnerable to it. Grig recognizes that, makes the punish, of course, gets himself the early kill on the Kindred. And Kindred's just one of those champions where, talking about the current state of the jungle, when you look at picks like Nocturne and like Kindred, you're not seeing as many of the tankier junglers as before. And if you get one of these carries really rolling, you can go pretty crazy in the mid game.
Yeah, you definitely can. And I think, you know, especially when you are, you know, pairing up one of these carry-style junglers alongside a tank who can kind of enable them, like, then Kindred plus Cho'Gath from ahead can look for dives very easily, and that becomes super, super scary. Is Grig going to be able to take away that Gromp? Nicely done. And you know, Dardoch didn't have Smite, so he knows there's not much of a chance to actually contest that. Huni was not strong enough to actually look for the 2v2, so Huni's just going to take the time to base, and they have to kind of accept that loss.
It always feels bad to lose the camp that way, but recognizing you don't have the Smite and just conceding the objective before you try to fight for it in vain, lose a couple hundred health, is simply the better option.
Yeah.
It's the lesser of two evils, but it still doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's never going to feel good, but sometimes the game is about minimizing loss, right? It's a situation where you are in a no-win situation. Now you have to give up the minimum, right? You got counterpick top lane. Okay, well, it's better to go down 15, 20 CS than it is to be dying and giving up your turret and you know, letting that guy run wild. Doesn't always feel good, but that's what you're going to have to do, and Huni is going to have to try to minimize his losses up here as 3 men from TSM are looking to pressure him off, and again, backs off. Will he give up some CS? Yes, but hopefully for him, he won't be giving up his life.
As long as he doesn't die again, he'll have to concede some of that economy from that wave hitting the turret. Meanwhile, the rest of Echo Fox is saying, okay, we got to get something on the other side of the map. If TSM is going to invest this much top side, we can at least get the Scuttle Crab in the bottom, deny the mark from Grig, and try to control some of this river vision.
Yeah, and I think as a top laner in this spot, you're hoping that you can trust in your team, that they are winning elsewhere. So far they are, right? You know, Lost and Smoothie are ahead of Zen and Mythy. You know, Dardoch is taking the Scuttle down there. You would hope that maybe they could snowball that into a later Infernal if the jungler continues to pressure top. And you have to kind of trust that what you are losing out on top lane, you are making up for elsewhere.
And talking about these two teams and sort of where they sit and comparing what they're going to be doing this game. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. Nope. Just a quick auto attack. No big paddling coming through just yet for Demonte there in the mid lane, but you got to be watching out if Bjergsen lands those trouble bubbles. These two teams have very different styles, because Echo Fox is that team that if they're down, they're not going to go down without a fight. It's this chaos style where they're always looking to make some sort of a fight happen. It seems like all their decisions are made around where can we start a fight that we're going to win?
Yeah, exactly. It's sometimes less about, you know, more refined macro style and more about just finding a good fight, right? If they think that they can win this 2v2, if they think they can win that 3v3, that's what they look for. That's what they search for. They trust in their mechanics. They trust in their team fighting. That has gotten them a lot of wins, you know, throughout this entire year. And it's kind of what has gotten them to this point. So they need to really still have faith in that play style. And I think that adding Smoothie, adding Lost, another strong laning 2v2 on the bottom side of the map can make that even easier, because now one of the differences I feel is that if Huni is losing top, if he is being pressured top, and that's where all the other team's resources are going, well, you're getting more bot lane, because Lost and Smoothie have been laning very well and pressuring the turrets.
Yeah, you can't just have a bottom lane that's going to concede the lane, sit under their turret and farm, and then let your opponents make top lane life miserable. There has to be some sort of push and pull in order for that to break even. Sven now having to dash away. Binding comes out, just barely going to miss, catching him on the back end of the projectile there. That could have been the beginning of that nasty chain CC you were talking about. Yep. Remember, when Sven has teleport, that means there's no cleanse or anything like that. There's no Mikhail's Crucible this early into the game for Mithy. You don't have a QSS either, so if that hits, you're done.
Yeah, exactly. And Sven holding onto the flash, seeing that it was going to miss, so you know, if it was a bit more on target, maybe they get the flash, but if it does hit, it guarantees the Varus ultimate, and Sven will just die. There's double level 6 now here for Smoothie and Lost. Their all-in is going to be incredibly powerful, especially if Dardoch is in the area, which he is right now. You know, level 6 on Nocturne to follow up a Binding, a Varus ultimate, and there's even potentially that 4-man roam as, you know, Demonte could try to come down too.
Nocturne's always one of those champions that I watch very closely. What happens with the first ultimate? Because you do have such a long cooldown on the early levels. You want to make sure you find value with those big cooldowns whenever you can. And the difference between making that into a kill or just ending up only getting a flash or something similar can be pretty big in a lot of ways.
I mean, it's massive, and you know, getting more quickly to a lot of your CDR items, right? You know, building up that quick warrior, getting the kill that gets you to your next ball fields. You know, gets you to that next ultimate that much more quickly. You know, in the ideal Nocturne game, you're essentially just power farming until your ultimate's up, then you immediately ult, you get a kill. You go back to power farming, soon as the ultimate's up, rinse and repeat. And that's, you know, what you're hoping to be able to do.
Are on cooldown than PvE.
Exactly, because Nocturne, outside of his ultimate, is fairly weak. So, you know, he's going to try to look for that early kill with it. And Echo Fox just straight up 2v2, take the turret. You know, this is what I'm talking about. It's okay that Huni is down a bit of farm. It's okay that Huni has died because he's trusting in his bot lane to get the advantage, and they're paying off.
And Huni's playing a champion that can just sit under the turret and farm. He can planar. He can say, all right, cool, I'll go down 10 CS, whatever. Throw my boomerangs at the minions underneath the turret. Bottom lane will do their job as Demonte gets ignited here in the mid lane. It looks like that is the real ignite from Bjergsen. We were the two talking about this earlier before the game, about how whenever there's Zoe, you always have to just take an extra second to look at the summoner spells when you see it to make sure it's the real one.
Actually, flashed 17 times, used 4 heals, a redemption, and an ignite. Oh, both are summoners.
But the ignite was real. But the ignite was real.
Oh no, Huni.
Huni barely walking away from that one. He will have to use his own flash. Haunter uses his there as well, but he will force Huni off of this turret. Finally, TSM will also send multiple members up towards this top side. Just in case Echo Fox is still planning on defending it, TSM will make the move first. You can see some question mark pings coming out in that topside river from Echo Fox, like they're anticipating TSM's movements here. Grig hangs around in the river brush. Mithy will be spotted out by that ward.
Yeah, this is actually pretty big. It allows Echo Fox to set up for this collapse. In they go.
See if they can find the kill here. Won't be able to get it in before the Lambda Spite. It's going to be 2 TPs, both used here. Grig having to try to jump himself away. Huni still looking to maybe find an opportunity in here. Change of Corruption, find their way onto Mithy, but again, that's the Alistair. That's the
Binding,
one who can engage the CC. More coming in. The chain CC follows it up. A little bit more damage will not find the mark, and everyone, Azael, walks away.
Yeah, very close call there. Both teams coming in, and had that piercing arrow been a split second later, the ultimate might have expired there from Mithy, and they may have gotten a kill, but either way, Echo Fox with the HP advantage, they maintain that pressure, and as a result, going to be going over for the Rift Herald here. We see multiple TSM members are in the area, but when your jungler's basing, when you don't have your support, it would be really hard to actually challenge for this.
Now they want to try to punish, but like you said, the health bars on Echo Fox are just too high. There's not really any opportunity to do anything there just yet. So Echo Fox now goes up 3 objectives to 0. They've got a turret, they've got a Drake, they've got Rift Herald. So far, they have found quite a lot for themselves 12 minutes into this game.
Yeah, they're looking really good, and as a result, they can take that Rift Herald and try to pressure another turret. I'm going to be interested to see how Dardoch actually uses that Rift Herald summon. If he's going to try to get a pick first and then go for it, because oftentimes if you can get that kill in the side lane, you can snowball it into a lot. Oh, that sleep.
That bubble was almost trouble, but they're still going to find the damage onto Huni and take him down. It's great picking up the money.
Yeah, Huni just gets popped there, playing with fire a little bit, trying to mess around with Grig as he went for that bounty, but TSM comes in with the collapse. 3 members quickly getting in there, and they get the kill onto Huni, and now Dardoch in trouble.
Dardoch tries to go into the enemy jungle, gets a paddling on his way out.
Deleted there by Bjergsen. Mithy showing off some of that Alistar playmaking, finds Dardoch, makes him pay, and this, because Dardoch has gone down, means Echo Fox's dual lane has to kind of back off and can't fully commit to taking down that turret just yet.
I always like to look at what exactly is the potential reward for the action that you're taking right now. When you look at what Huni was doing, trying to stop the Kindred from grabbing the mark, and you look at what happened as the consequence, you have to ask, was that risk versus reward really weighing out in the end?
Exactly. You can't go for the 100% plays, but you also don't want to go for the 10% plays, the 20, the 30% plays. You have to, really kind of calculate that, and Ultimate is back up for Mithy.
Mithy's got it. He decides to go right in the face of Echo Fox, and TSM will turn this one right around. Culling comes out, and Lost goes down. It's a double kill for Grig.
Grig is 4-0 right now. It's Echo Fox looking for the engage, but Mithy pops the ultimate, turns the fight around, and Smoothie just gets destroyed before he can actually get a stopwatch off. So Echo Fox down 5 kills now, and TSM looking so much more aggressive, so much more proactive with Mithy on this Alistar.
And I love this decision here. Goes right in.
Yeah, pops the ultimate, gets out of the binding, flashes right onto Lost, slows him down, even able to survive, and then Sven and Grig there to back him up, and Grig feeling good, having a laugh about it. 4-0 on the Kindred.
All
gonna be smiling.
All smiles when you get to start off like that, 4-0 on one of those carry junglers. Shelly summoned up here in the mid lane, only takes a minimum amount of damage before getting off the charge. Mid lane tier 1 turret will be taken low, but now Echo Fox could be in some trouble. Hanser coming in with the Righteous Glory, looking to find the silence onto one. More damage going through. Dardoch gonna be bursted down as the stun comes back onto Grig, who is taken low, but not so low that he's actually in danger of dying yet. Doesn't even have to pop the Lamb's Respite. And that's 1-0 TSM.
Yeah, and Grig has been playing a hell of a game. I mean, his pressure on the top side has put Huni very far behind. Huni is down, he has had 2 deaths, but he's also down 35 CS, so it's both, right? And you can give up some kills, but you want to stay at least relevant in the farm. He is pretty far behind in that regard, and TSM really starting to kind of take some control. Echo Fox has farmed well in other areas, though, so they're not super far down in gold. But still, TSM looking good, and Mithy looking very proactive. It's promising as a TSM fan to see him being able to make those plays, being able to go forward and find those picks on the Alistar, because that's something that TSM has been sorely lacking.
And TSM seems coordinated here as well. Mithy's ability to turn that fight around on the top side and just immediately go back in on his opponents relied on the fact that he could count on his team to say, okay, just turn. And for a team that has seemed to have communication issues, have teamwork problems, that's big. That shows those weaknesses are being addressed.
Definitely does. And for Echo Fox, it's been all about this duel lane. Smoothie and Lost taking down 2 turrets. They're now looking 3-man top.
3 versus 1 against Haunser's Cho'Gath, and there's not a lot of a chance out of that one. Echo Fox finally get themselves on the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's 6-1 in kills, but because Lost and Smoothie have knocked down 2 turrets, the gold is still pretty darn close. And they are now looking to pressure another turret here. TSM trying to respond in mid, in bot. But they could potentially knock down another turret. You can see Smoothie is roaming down to help out Demonte with any potential pressure here, but Huni's going to have to back off once again, being zoned off these waves, and TSM has done such a good job. It looks like they're even trying to dive onto him.
Huni's in a lot of trouble here. Sven bringing in some damage. Huni has to flash away, does get the ignite. As now the Drake will also be taken by the side of TSM. Drake grabbing that Earth Drake for his team means they'll have more objective control as the game goes on. Sven also grabs the bottom side tier 1 turret. First turret of the game for TSM, but they lose their top lane tier 2 at the same time. Again, that's Lost and Smoothie putting in that work that you were talking about, making sure Echo Fox doesn't fall too far behind.
Yeah, and that's so critical because Huni is certainly having a rough game. He's being pressured so heavily by TSM. Grig and the rest of the team have done an excellent job pressuring off waves constantly and then looking for dive opportunities whenever they can. And this is just putting him further and further behind. So the onus is more on his teammates and more on Darlock to have relevance early on because he is on this Nocturne. We talked about how tough it's going to be for him to team fight 5v5 into this Kindred who can just drop the ult on any squishy target you go in on. So going to be up to Echo Fox to continue getting pressures in the side lane, to continue trying to find opportunities for Dardoch and really let Huni catch up.
I mean, if the matchup itself isn't already hard enough, try being 0-2 into the 5-0 matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other side of the coin, talking about how we're not seeing the Cinderhulk junglers as much anymore. It's more this carry style as opposed to tanks. Tank is always useful. He can always throw his CC button out there, lock somebody down, provide value in a team fight. A Nocturne that's behind is a gold delivery system to the enemy carry.
Yeah, I mean, you have your darkness, that's about it, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to mess up their vision. You have a little bit of utility there, maybe some zoning, but really not much. And you know, Grig, as you said, he has 5 kills, so he's been able to kind of pit stop for some luxury items. Grabbing the QSS, grabbing the tabbies means there's a very low chance you will kill this guy before he gets his ultimate off, right? Even if he gets hit with the CC, he should be able to QSS, get that ultimate down, and you know, sometimes when you are this ahead, building defensively actually lets you kind of get more involved in the fights and actually get more damage out, even though it sounds somewhat counterintuitive, because you don't have to be as scared of getting one-shot by this, you know, Syndra or getting absolutely burst down before you can ultimate in a Gnar stun.
And being able to play aggressively, being able to not have to worry about all those stuns, might be the answer TSM needs to fix some of those problems that we mentioned earlier on, where it seems like even with a lead, it's hard for them to translate that into more. It's hard to build something greater out of it. If you don't have to worry about the risks, the rewards just seem that much juicier.
Yeah, they can just start piling in. And while Kindred is not really like a primary engaged champion, we've seen some damn aggressive Kindred games from Dardoch himself, but also, you know, I think very heavily of Blabber and some of the games he's had where he has gotten ahead on Kindred, and then he's just jumping forward and fighting people, right? You can get to a certain point where you can just aggressively look for that dueling when your team is behind you, because if they burst everything into you, you drop the ult, your team comes flying in, the enemy team has no cooldowns to deal with them, and then they can clean up the rest of that fight.
I want to point out, too, we're taking a look at the itemization coming out this game is now Demonte going to be
here.
on. Grig looking to make this one happen, going to be stunned up. QSS means he's able to get that Lamb's Respite down in time, but Echo Fox is looking to collapse with multiple members. Grig going to be taken very low, but Dardoch's taken down first. Grig goes down to shutdown credit over to Huni as Haunter drops next. Echo Fox still looking to make this fight happen. They're going for even more now on to Zen as the damage comes through and Huni stays alive.
Echo Fox turning the dive around. Dardoch in range right at the very start, and despite the fact that the ultimate got off from Grig, more Echo Fox members were there faster. They respond to the fight, and 2 kills going to Huni, plus the 5-kill monster shutdown. Just got hand-delivered there to Huni, and he is going to be right back into the game. Completes the cleaver. He has a Bilgewater Cutlass. He is right back in there for split push.
Let's take another look at how this happened, because TSM really wanted Demonte.
Yeah, they want to go aggressive here. They have been making proactive plays, but there's too many Echo Fox members there in the area. 3 Echo Fox members were there right at the start. The only 2 members who weren't immediately TP into the turret. A great response from Echo Fox coming in very, very quickly. Full commitment to the call to fight. They're able to pick up 3 for the low cost of 1 Nocturne.
Bjergsen also, the paddle star that he aimed onto Smoothie very slightly missed him, just went right above that Morgana, so could have almost been a 2 for 3 there. The accuracy not quite where it needed to be for TSM to make that one a little bit closer. And that was eerily reminiscent of what Golden Guardians tried to do yesterday against TSM.
Yeah.
They tried to make a dive happen underneath that tier 1 topside turret. TSM turned it around. And this is what you're talking about, Azale. Nothing's a 100%, but when you're taking something that's too far away from those high numbers, you're running the risk of gifting things over to your opponents.
You definitely are, but you have to be willing to take some hits, you know, and continually go for those punches, right? So many of their aggressive plays throughout this game have worked, so you can't just say, well, can't ever play aggressive again because that one didn't work. So, you know, yes, that dive did not work out. Yes, there was more Echo Fox members in the area, but TSM, they have gotten to their original lead through aggressive play. I want to see them continue to be proactive. I want to see them look for that next play and still trust in their calls and trust in their ability to play well. Otherwise, if you fall back and allow Huni to have his time in his side lane, expect Echo Fox to start dictating.
Especially considering what Huni is building. This isn't Black Cleaver into tankiness Gnar. It is the Black Cleaver into the Blade of the Ruined King, that split push build. As Dardoch goes in, looks to find a little bit of damage there onto Haunter.
Don't think that's the guy you want.
No, not really.
Yeah, he's a tanky boy, and Haunter just kind of casually walks out.
It's like, all right, man, cool. See you later.
That's a very, very big boy. But anyway, Dardoch cooldown is going to be out of there. Hoping, obviously, that he could have the follow-up to maybe just burn him down. You know, and if Haunter is alone, then hey, maybe you just focus fire that tank. You can't retaliate, you get a kill. And that's kind of what Dardoch was looking for there. Either way, doesn't work out. We'll see, though, if TSM can find another play here. Is Demonte up on the top side?
Nice little bit of damage coming out there onto Mithy. Both these mages hit like a truck, by the way. Morello Namicon, Sorcerer's Shoes, Luden's Echo on the Syndra. Same thing, but with Mercury Treads for the Zoe. If these guys can land their combos, it's just going to delete health bars, whichever ones they find themselves onto. There's not a lot of magic resistance in this game. By not a lot, I mean there's actually none aside from shoes. So,
QSS, baby, let's go.
Okay, we got a QSS. All right. If we're really going to nitpick and call that a magic resist item. We got a QSS.
Is going to defend you from the double spell pen. But yeah, Demonte obviously is at that kind of burst triumvirate of items. Double spell pen plus Ludens is about as bursty as you can get with that amount of gold. Certainly not a lot of magic resist, especially when you're looking at someone like Sven, who would be a prime target for that Syndra. He could get absolutely blown up. But then you're depending again on Kindred to be there and to pop that ultimate in time to kind of negate a lot of the burst that comes out of Equifox. Mithy is behind these guys, and he's going to look for the fight here.
This could be a disaster. Righteous Glory coming out from Haunter, looking to find the collapse here. It's going to be Smoothie jumped on TSM with no mercy. Find the pick onto the Echo Fox support.
Yeah, they get the kill on a Smoothie, and they get the flash. So even though Lost was actually black shielded, he expends the flash there. So that means that they kind of get a double reward, and we're going to have to track if that gets punished later on, because that Varus with no flash could be a pretty juicy target for Mithy, who is going to have his flash available.
Absolutely. Echo Fox now will continue just trying to shove up here in the mid lane. TSM won't find anything off the back of that pick. It's just going to be the 300 gold as well as the flash from that enemy 80 carry like you mentioned. It's always, always, always one thing you've got to think about. Yeah, we got the pick. Can we get anything else? TSM decides right now the answer is no. Drake isn't alive. There's not really any turret you can take right now at the positioning of the waves, and I mean, Baron's a little bit audacious for 24 minutes into the game after having only taken down the enemy support.
But that being said, that flash may mean, hey, in a couple minutes, if you kill off Lost before that flash comes up, then you can maybe actually turn that into a Baron, right? You start up that Baron. If they don't have their marksman, you could maybe turn and fight, or you can just burn it down. And that's something that they can look to kind of get that additional reward later on, but they're going to have to be proactive and try to attack Lost before the flash comes out. And Blade of the Rune King now done for Huni. He picks up an additional dagger, which tells me there's a high chance he could be going into the Rage Blade style build to get those additional hyper procs, which really is full commitment to side lane, right? This is much less about the team fight. Sure, you can still fly in and go for that Mega Gnar, but you are going to be a very squishy boy.
You will die in one Trouble Bubble Paddle Star.
Yeah.
With no defensive itemization aside from the health on a Black Cleaver.
Yeah, it's very, very scary. But at the same time, hey, if you get left alone with Haunter, he's not going to have very much fun. And if you get to a turret with all that attack speed, you can burn that down very much. So the track if Huni can get ahead, and if he's going to be able to make that pay off, or if Haunter is going to be able to kind of get to those team fights and where he really wants to be most effective.
Haunter has been pretty effective so far. The Righteous Glory first pick, we've seen him use it in fight after fight to just make sure he can get in there, be that front line for TSM. And honestly, 26 minutes into this game, despite the fact that 11 total objectives have gone down, including Drakes and Rift Heralds, and there's already 12 kills, you're still seeing a game that's 200 gold apart.
Yeah, this is an incredibly close game between these two teams. You know, really is going to come down to execution, and Huni wisely backing off as a lot of TSM members go missing. You can see there's no Echo Fox vision on the bottom side of the map. He has no idea where anyone is. All their wards are around Baron. That is where they are focusing. So he has to play with respect, and Mithy is around here.
We will steal away that red buff. Always nice to have that on a ranged auto attacker. Kindred making wonderful use of that extra utility and damage as TSM will push up towards the tier 2. Seeing if maybe they can get some damage onto this with the minion wave. Looks like they will, because Demonte is nowhere nearby. Remember, this is not a teleport Syndra. He has the cleanse instead, so without enough members nearby to make that defense happen, TSM pick up a freebie.
Yeah, they have the top wave pushing, so maybe some minions will be lost there for TSM, but they get a turret. This is nice play around that bottom side of the map. TSM drops a couple of pink wards there, kind of makes it harder for Huni to feel safe split pushing, and Haunter was even, you could see, threatening a flank.
Nice binding there over the wall from
Oh my God!
Gameplay button.
There was a Morgana there 1 second ago, I swear to you. Your eyes are not deceiving you.
Bjergsen just hits him with the damage.
Bjergsen pulling off his best magic trick. Now you see him? Now you know.
Now you know. Where did he go?
Hate to see that happen.
You really hate to see it, unless you're TSM, in which case you're really loving to see that one. 2-0 and 4 now on Bjergsen Zoe. Got 2 needlessly large rods in the inventory. Means Rabadon's death cap is on the way. And if you thought that was a one-shot, let me tell you about Rabadon's death cap, Azale. Because we are going to see some crazy damage coming out now as the collapse from Echo Fox onto the top laner from TSM will make sure they can find themselves a kill. Dardoch has to flash away to make sure he doesn't die to that last turret shot that likely would have come out there. But now TSM says, okay, you want to put 3 guys in the bottom lane? We're going to go ahead and look for the Baron now ourselves. Smoothie's the only one hanging around the area right now. TP also going to be channeled now from Huni. Echo Fox really trying to stop this. Bjergsen trying to keep them away. Baron going to be taken now down below 2,000 HP. Mithy looking to run some interference. Demonte wanted to catch somebody on the back of the pit, looking to find the stun if he can. Will not get it just yet. Bjergsen goes on a killing spree again. He says, Smoothie, didn't you learn your lesson the first time, as he tries to get himself away.
Lost has to be careful too.
Yeah, Lost is gonna, okay. Sidesteps both of them. Bjergsen's still trying to get himself out of this one. Paddlestar comes back out. Lost eats a lot of damage, but Bjergsen will drop there. TSM do manage to find themselves the Baron. Of course, they will only have it on Griggen's Vent.
Yeah, but that is a critical takedown for them. So again, TSM being decisive. They lose one member on the bottom side of the map. They fully commit to the Baron. You can see Mithy is buying time. He is giving up his life for the team here. Going forward, Bjergsen able to trade back a kill. Flashes out of the Varus ultimate right there after. And real flash, important to note. No imitation, and either way, Bjergsen is going to get chased down. Lost patient enough, making sure he doesn't overcommit and actually chase into his own death. So they do get that kill. TSM does have the Baron, and now it's about fighting for this Infernal, but it looks like Echo Fox are the ones that are there first and should be able to take it down.
This is the Echo Fox I know. This is the team that, despite the fact that their opponents are the ones who got Baron, they say, nope, we don't care, still fighting you in open ground. This is how we play League of Legends.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a smart play, right? Because TSM had lost a lot of health from that Baron, because, you know, Mithy is giving up his life for the team, you can win the team fight thereafter. You can knock off some of those Baron buffs. So it ends up being a fairly even trade, but you have to say, looking at the game state, double Infernal is a very big advantage for Echo Fox, especially because of how many people are building damage.
Oh, yeah.
All 5 members of Echo Fox are getting big benefits from this AD, from this AP. It's not an Alistar, it's not a Mundo. This is, you know, full kind of damage Huni on the Gnar and an AP Morgana.
Rig taken very low there by Demonte. Has to pop his own ultimate, but Mithy ends up messing up the combo and actually shoves Demonte to safety. Demonte pops the stopwatch, keeping himself alive. He's going to be Hanser food, though. The shutdown credit going over to TSM's top laner, but Huni is knocking on the door to the bottom lane.
Yeah, Huni completed the Rage Blade off of his last shutdown in that team fight. He is just straight onto it. They're trying to delay the bases here.
Is this going to be another NALCS base race?
It could be. I mean, someone else has to go back. So multiple members are going back for TSM, so they have 2 there to try to stop. And now the 3 members from TSM are trying to push for the inhibitor.
TSM wanting to take this one down. It's going to be the ultimate used there from Dardoch, trying to scare them away. He will be taken very low. Can't quite find his mark just yet. Somehow lives with 40 HP. He'll walk away. They'll hold the turret for now. Binding comes out, only finds its way onto the cannon. It'll stop that Baron up push from using that resource. However, they're still able to break the line. They're still able to find the inhib, and TSM come out on top.
Yeah, and Huni's not going to have time to actually knock down any inhibitor because Mithy had rejoined the team, but he didn't have vision of that until just recently. They have the Baron recalls, so TSM managing these calls in the hectic situations much better. You think back to that FlyQuest game, listening to some of the comms there was so split, was so messy. This time TSM makes a calm decision, 2 members back to defend, 3 members continue the push, they get the inhibitor, they keep their own alive.
Yeah, you talked about the TSM Legends episode at the beginning of this game, and the comms from that FlyQuest game, specifically the ending, were so jarring because it seemed like everyone was on a different page. The team just couldn't agree on where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do. And this level of coordination, I said it before when talking about a micro situation of Mithy making the turnaround play top. Now in the macro situation of managing the inhibitor, TSM has addressed those issues, at least to a degree.
Yeah, they definitely have. And you know, Echo Fox, you know, on their side, they do have, you know, a lot of actual frontline damage here because of the Rage Blade auto attack based Varus. This is not poke Varus. Huni is going to be able to help shred frontline as well, but the straight up 5v5 is still going to be so difficult because there's 2 very strong marksmen of the team of TSM. There's really strong engage. There's poke and follow from Bjergsen, and there's this VP frontline. And that is why Echo Fox is looking for these side picks.
Dardoch going in onto Bjergsen. That's going to be a massive pick if they make it happen, and Demonte guarantees they do. Hanser now having to run away from Huni, who, remember, although he's pretty squishy, is one scary boy on this high damage Gnar build. Will sidestep his way out of the rupture. TSM now continuing to retreat. A 1-for-0 from Echo Fox puts the brakes on the TSM push machine.
Yeah, it's such a big pick for them because it's buying them more time. It means TSM can no longer kind of pressure forward with that 4-man squad. Bjergsen is off the map. Here it is one more time. Bjergsen looking for that poke. He has spotted it out, but in goes Dardoch straight onto him. Lost really nice piercing arrow and ultimate both connecting over the wall. That was some clean Varus play from Lost, helping them to get that really, really important kill and buy more time for Huni to get out on the map, buy more time for him to try to create these 1v1 advantages.
Lost has been having some pretty solid performances so far after stepping up, after graduating from Academy League and taking his spot on the main stage here with Echo Fox. He's been showing that he deserves this shot.
And it's really exciting because it was hard to tell how good is he when he was on, basically the last place Academy team, right? And sometimes even a good player surrounded by an unsuccessful team will not look that good, right? And now he has some very strong pieces around him. He kind of talked about his relationship with Smoothie and how Smoothie is helping him to grow, helping him to really learn a lot on this Echo Fox team. And I think that Lost is shining. This is, some of the best performances in the LCS out of the gate from a marksman that we have seen in a really long time.
If he can keep this performance up, he will be critical to winning this game against TSM in a game that's still not even 2,000 gold apart, 34 minutes in. As now Huni's getting himself jumped on. Nice flash over the wall, but Dardoch comes in and says, all right, we're gonna look to turn this one around. But considering his top laner already went over the wall, the coordination not quite there from Echo Fox. Sven dashes forward. Huni's still hanging around thinking maybe we can make something happen here. Mythy's gonna be found out in the river. Likely gonna be some trades going on here as Sven's taken down. Huni able to find the kill onto the enemy marksman. Mythy drops now as well. It's the bottom lane of TSM dead. The top side of the map for Echo Fox also with black and white screens. 3v3 left alive.
Yeah, pretty disjointed engage there as Huni is flashing out. Dardoch is ulting in. Had they both stayed in, maybe that's a different fight. Maybe they pick up those kills a little bit more cleanly. Either way, it is the 2-for-2 trade. I think this 3-man squad from Echo Fox is still very strong on the map, but here it is. Huni's getting a lot of damage down. Not expecting perhaps that Dardoch was going to immediately respond that quickly, so they do have to go out. They do look for the retreat. Multiple TPs are coming in. Everyone is collapsing down. The Echo Fox kind of bottom lane here goes over, focusing on Mythy while Haunter is cleaning up Dardoch. On the top side of your screen, you can see that Huni was able to get that kill over onto Sven.
Monte tries to throw a little bit of damage down onto Haunter, but hanging out in these choke points, in these jungle areas, you got to be so careful about those trouble bubbles with so many walls to fly through. There's a lot of range they can go on as TSM decides this is the call. We go for Baron here. We force the game on this objective. They're taking it down very rapidly. Already down to 5k HP. Lost not able to find the chains of corruption he needs. Still looking to do so much damage. It's Haunter secure the Baron. But now TSM's in some trouble. Echo Fox makes their way into the pit. The Lamp Despite is down. Bjergsen looks to go into the pit. Will not find anything with the paddle star. Damage over the wall comes out.
And
Monte scores a goal as Bjergsen does manage to get himself away. It's only Guardian Angel dropped for Grig.
Yeah, just the Guardian Angel. They do get the kill on Haunter, though. Grig did not drop that Lambda Spite to actually save his top laner. His GA is down, but TSM get the Baron. They get the big prize. They have map control. They're going to be looking for Elder. Here it is one more time. Dardoch was back in the base, trying to ult in time. Not there to get the smite, but even if he was, the Feast is very hard to actually steal that away from. And then Grig plays this very well. Lambs Respite to get over the wall. They do trade the one kill, but Demonte able to at least proc the GA, and TSM now straight onto this Elder. They're trying to knock it down. Echo Fox trying to get over there.
Only thing better than one Uber buff is two Uber buffs. TSM will be very scary if they manage to collect this. Echo Fox trying to prevent that as hard as they can. Elder Drake down to about 1,000 HP. It is going to be secured there by Grig. Echo Fox need to disengage this one and prepare for one hell of a defense now with TSM having these buffs.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard. It is just a one-stack Elder, but even just taking that away from Echo Fox is a big deal, and it's some additional gold and power kind of in their pocket with the Baron buff, with the Elder Dragon. They're going to be in a strong position, and both those objectives, Dardoch is not there to actually try to get that steal.
Will take down the mid lane tier 2, look to find some damage onto Haunter now as well. Once he goes back into that Mininar form, he's actually much more threatening when he has this split push style build. He can start landing those hyper procs again. But with the rest of TSM potentially being able to collapse, he decides he doesn't want anything else to do with that. Ben walks up, gets the auto attacks onto the turret to finish that, and TSM will now have nothing left to take with the base.
You can see that Dardoch is trying to hang around Huni, though. They are potentially looking for that 2v1 collapse to get a kill and have Huni maybe break open the game, because right now they are being sieged. TSM closing in, looking for the one shot.
Bjergsen nearly finds it onto Demonte, taking off 3/4 of his health with that one big explosion of damage. TSM will continue looking for the inhibitor here. One is exposed in the top side. This one also exposed here in the bottom lane. Ben will eat a little bit of damage there coming out from that tormented soil. Lost still looking to get off the piercing arrow. Scatter the Weak comes out from Demonte, but will not find anyone. TSM grabs the inhib and gets out.
And that damage was through a black shield there, and it's non-trivial amount of AP that is on Smoothie. He likely has that Black Shield maxed out at level 13 this point in the game. So definitely a scary amount of damage coming out there from Bjergsen. But as we mentioned, Echo Fox Lost is going for this auto attack focused build. He has his IE now. He is at a very, very strong point. But he has no real front line, so it's harder for him to get involved and feel safe to go forward for those auto attacks because he doesn't have that Cho'Gath from the Alistar in front of him, creating space. He has to be very careful because one misstep, you get caught by a combo from Alistar, you're probably dead and the game ends, right? So he has to be very, very careful about how he chooses his fights, when he chooses his moments to move forward.
Looking at the itemization, looking at the risk of being caught in the wrong spot for either team. Both AD carry players pack a ton of damage. You already touched on what we've seen Bjergsen do. Demonte's also got incredible burst potential himself. Nifty wants to come around, see if maybe he can get the flank on this one. Echo Fox recognizes trouble. They get themselves out before TSM can make the collapse, but you've still got one exposed inhib, one down inhib, and your opponents with these buffs that are just now starting to wear off.
And Huni is just continuing to split push, right? He's trying to do this, so it's up to that four-man squad from Echo Fox to try to hold the line, to give up the minimum, and they have a very hard job because there is hard engage from TSM, but TSM calling it off, saying we are not positive that we can actually get this inhibitor down before Huni gets one of his own, so they back off, they look to defend, reset, spend their gold, and still, we are left at a very, very close game. TSM is one fight away from winning, but honestly, so is Echo Fox. I mean, if you actually ace this team, you could maybe march it down through bot and just end the game.
And Huni, while his last couple of items have had more of a bruiser profile to them as opposed to strict damage like a Blade of the Ruined King and against his Rage Blade, there are no tank items on Huni. Sterix and what this Jarm's Fist is building into as a Frozen Mallet are both bruiser items. Cleaver is a bruiser item. The remaining two are carry items. This is a Gnar that is 100% invested in split pushing and going for some kind of side lane victory, even this late into the game.
He's been spotted. Oh, secret agent Huni.
Holy cow.
He's just hiding in the bush.
Snake hiding out.
Quick, don't
Now
move.
he's found his way onto Haunter. Looking to make this play. It's Dardoch coming in from the side here as well, making sure they're able to find it. The Gargoyle Stone Blade is going to be popping. It will not be enough. Drake tries to come in from the side, looking to collapse, maybe do something. But not today. Echo Fox gets 1 for 0.
Nicely done, finding that pickoff onto Haunter. That is a long respawn timer, almost a full minute. And it's one of those situations where as Haunter, you're like, how did he get behind me? The kid just walked there. I was in the lane. Everyone was around here.
We checked that. But you didn't check close enough.
Gotta check that bush.
Echo Fox have managed to hold on despite the fact that TSM has had map control since grabbing that Baron. They have managed to keep themselves in a serviceable position. I know I've already commented on it twice, but damn, Azael, how often do you see 41 minutes into the game and 100 gold separating teams?
Not very often.
This is incredible in terms of just how knife's edge this game has been. And I really hope the finale does the entire game justice and we get to see something just completely off the wall as the super minions will continue helping TSM push out this bottom lane, just making Huni take a little bit of extra time. All right, he will decide to... I was thinking for a second there, I was like, do you want to go for Sven? Do you really want to go for him?
He wants to.
You know he does. You know, okay, I'll rephrase that. Should you go for Sven?
Probably not. And probably his whole team's like, base, base, base. He's like, what if I can kill him?
But what if, hold on, hear me out, guys. Hear me out.
But what if I didn't base?
What if I throw my boomerang at him?
Well, he's on 6 items, so that boomerang's going to do a lot of damage if he does throw it out. And, not only is it so close, but it's two teams with such different play styles, such different compositions that they have crafted. Echo Fox fully committing to this side lane style of play. Huni trying to push up, Dardoch trying to find picks. And TSM is just like, just fight us. We just want to 5v5. They want to walk at you with this 5-man squad, find the engage from Mithy, have Grig for the ultimate to stop any potential burst, and then just slowly win out that team fight. But Echo Fox is trying to play these kind of skirmish tactics where Demonte's pushing out top, Huni's pushing out bottom. They're trying to avoid a committed fight.
Echo Fox say, okay, Baron's going to be spawning here in a few seconds. TSM's going to walk up and
Echo
check
Fox.
this brush. When they check it with Haunter, Echo Fox can't really make a punish off of that. TSM will have priority here in the mid lane. If Echo Fox decides to go for the Baron, TSM will just run down mid. This is where that shot calling is going to come in. TSM has to make sure whatever they decide, they're committed to the decision. Huni's still going to remain here in the bottom lane. As TSM, 5 men strong into the mid lane. It's inhibitor turret down as they now have nothing left defending the inhibs. Huni will continue to push there in the bottom side. Echo Fox finally puts themselves into a defensive position to prevent TSM from taking anything else. So far, it's 1 inhib for nothing. Demonte finds a stun onto 1. Chain CC coming out onto Haunter. He is definitely caught out here. Bjergsen goes over the wall, but he's already dead. Lam's Spike's not going to keep him alive today.
Huni get the game, their team begin.
TSM, they've got to try to get out of here as Echo Fox wants to end the game.
I think this is
Huni on an axis. He's got the minion wave. He's got lost. And Echo Fox have got their win.
It happens again, TSM. In control for so much of that game. But just like the FlyQuest game, they lose track of where they are in that split push. They lose 2 kills in the 5v4. Lost TP's in. Huni's already pushing, and Echo Fox closed out what was a hell of a game.
We saw so many plays that game from Bjergsen where he would hit people with massive bursts of damage. But at the end of that game, it was him who was bursted down too quickly. Greg couldn't save him in time, and by the time the chaos of that dissolves, it's Huni already knocking down Nexus turrets. That is the finale I wanted.
And lost so quick to call that TP, to move in there. The rest of the Echo Fox squad delaying the bases, not allowing TSM to get back in time. And you can see the pain there for Greg, as it's a tough loss to swallow.
Absolutely.
And the Kindred ultimate did come in a little bit too late to save either Haunter or Bjergsen. And you know that's a mistake that you're gonna want back. But Echo Fox played this chaotic style very well. And again, so much credit really needs to go, I think, to the Echo Fox bottom lane. I think this team played very well around them. Smoothie and Lost take down multiple turrets and played this game very, very well.
It was an awesome battle between these two teams, back and forth the entirety of that 40-minute slugfest. And now to get his thoughts on the win, I'm going to hand things over to Avali, who's standing by with Huni.
Thanks, guys. What an ending to that game. Huni, please run me through the last minute and what you were doing.
I mean, I killed the Nexus.
You killed the Nexus, and it looked like you were doing secret undercover in bot lane bushes, and you were split pushing the whole time. Was that your game plan?
Yeah, obviously. If you see the my item build past 2, it was fully attack speed. My AD was 350. You know, the Nair was doing. That was my best that I can do, I think. And because enemy team was 5 versus 5 was really strong compared to our draft, and then that's how I realized, oh, this is I really need to play for really split pusher with a Nocturne, and then that's how it worked.
And before the cameras came on, you basically said that you weren't too happy with this game. So where do you think you guys could have improved?
Yeah, early game was really tough because our macro was pretty bad, and also our draft was pretty not really clear actually before we actually start the game. So I think probably one thing that we could have just make clear draft, and second, I think macro was could have been better, and then our all game would have been way clear, and then we would have just finished the same way, which is split pushers.
Anything you want to say to your team after that game?
Well done.
Well done. Same to you. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk. You should be.
Thank you very much, Avli. Yet another NALCS game ends in such a fashion of a base race. And lucky for us, we've got Santorin on the desk to help us break it down. Experience in these situations. Before we work our way through the entire game, I do want to relive those last few moments, talk about, one, the decision and the win for Echo Fox, but maybe what should have been done differently for TSM.
Yeah, so Santorin and I were just talking about this, and the preliminary conclusion is that Echo Fox actually made a really good play here because they have Baron vision, so TSM doesn't want to face check while Huni is split pushing. But Santorin, take it from here. What is TSM thinking?
Yeah, so I think they're really scared of face checking Baron, and they see now pushing bot. So okay, we got to force something. So
Get mid priority.
Yeah, so walk down mid, and I think at this point it's already really hard for them because I think honestly they should walk back to Baron, start Baron, force a play because you have time before now starts pushing the waves. But at this point it's already too late. Now it's already on Nexus Taurus. in like a second. So I think they already missed out here. Like even if they don't die and Eggfox keeps chasing them, it's gonna be bad for them.
So to your point, you would have liked TSM to go down mid like they did, but once they get the reaction out of Echo Fox's members at the Baron, then they themselves go to Baron to pull Echo Fox towards them versus kind of hard committing for that inhib, right?
Because also, no matter what, you have to respond to Huni with something.
Right, you can't go 5 versus 4 while allowing a 1 versus 0
Right.
to exist in the side lane.
So if you go to the Baron, you're hopefully pulling Huni to that fight, or you get the Baron and get the Baron empowered recall off.
Yeah, but he's going to end so fast with that build.
Oh
Blade
my
of the Root,
God,
hard
build.
Like, I wonder.
I legit have never wanted to play Gnar more than watching Huni eat through like an 8K Cho'Gath tank in 4 seconds.
This is like your classic problem. Whenever you have a split pusher get to that point in a game where they can 1v1 and maybe arguably 1v2 anyone, it becomes really hard to play against if you're executing well.
Yes, you've perfectly illustrated the problem.
I know everyone wants us to say, like, oh my God, TSM should have just done this thing to achieve victory, but
they were in a very tough situation.
At that point, I think if Echo Fox pulls off the right macro play, I don't know if there's a way TSM achieves victory without an Echo Fox mistake. There are plenty of TSM mistakes before that, which we're going to cover.
Exactly. So let's do that now. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, figure out how we even got to this point. Starting in Champion Select, of course, this is the first time we've seen the Nocturne versus Zoe matchup because we have highlighted in the past the difficulty that Nocturne can create for Zoe, but Bjergsen valuing that pick so high that they decide to allow that first pick prioritization come through on the Nocturne to secure the Zoe.
Yeah, I mean, like, he had an absolutely monstrous performance, and a lot of it was in laning phase before you would have had that Nocturne Zoe interaction where the blackout stops your team fighting. So I think that's kind of what they were thinking about, was like, Bjergsen was so good on Zoe, let's get that on him again. It was his best one of his best performances this split.
Now, that said, we have to take a look at Echo Fox and the playstyle matchup against TSM, as you had talked about at the top of the day. Echo Fox is a team that loves to initiate fights. They always look for plays. TSM, reactive? Hey, that works for us. We'll let you try and start the fights.
Yeah, TSM had a little bit of pressure to begin with here because they did have more people on that side of the map, but like this was set up by the fact that Huni was trying to greed harass on the Scuttle Crab. And then here, well, they had 3 bottom. Surely we can walk into the enemy jungle. Dardoch wanted to go for something, and TSM punishes it quite well.
I think they're just rushing too much. Like, if I see this setup, it's like, look at the bot way, right? It's not even close to hitting turret. So Huni can just sit back, like, relax. Like, they'll take top turret for free. And instead, they're just rushing things. Dada walks into the jungle. He doesn't even have to go into the jungle. I think Fox always, like, makes these kind of mistakes because Huni's really good at playing with like pressure game, but when he's not the one hitting turret, he's still trying to pressure, and I think that's when it goes wrong.
I think one of the largest beneficiaries of those early mistakes from Echo Fox was Grig in the jungle. He quickly picked up 5 kills on the Kindred, but again, I'm coming back to you, Santorin, because we had some questions about the build path given the comp he was up against.
Yeah, I mean, when I see a comp with no tanks and like a bunch of damage, I'd assume you do Warrior because Warrior is the best like at doing damage against squishies, and then after that he gets 5 kills, and instead of like going straight into Black Cleaver, he goes to QSS, and it's like, let's say like you get hit by something, like it's gonna happen at some point, right? But like you don't have a threat when you're putting all your money into QSS, whereas like if you have Black Cleaver, he can literally like take over the entire game with Warrior.
I have a stat to back this up.
All right, hit me.
He started 5-0, Grig, and did less damage than every single player on Echo Fox. Smoothly did more damage than Grig this game.
Whoa.
It's a Morgana.
Try and justify
Not the best build.
No, without a doubt, not the best build. But this isn't the only mistake that we need to point out for TSM, because again, with some advantages in their favor, they still made enough mistakes to allow the game to fall back over towards Echo Fox. And so we're going to pull up one more replay. This, a TSM pick, but not choosing to do anything with it.
Yeah, I mean, this was actually a very proactive play where Mithy found a great flank and set up an early kill. And while it was on to the support, they also got the flash out of Lost. And from here, they have all the tools they need to continue to bait Baron.
Look at this. They have a Mountain Drake. They have a Kindred who does % health damage. They have a Blade of the Ruin King Varus. It is a 4v5. The 80 carry doesn't have flash. Santorin, what do you do?
I mean, I think here they don't even have to contest midway. They just walk to Baron, and either they start it or they bait it. It depends how they feel like. But like here, like who's gonna face check from Fox? Like whoever walks in is gonna die, or at least burn flashes.
Right, there was no blue trinket on the side of Echo Fox to face check or to check, and they have a bunch of squishies.
Yeah, and Mithy had flash on Alistar. Like you're ready to go with another combo, and you have decent enough vision to see where people are coming from, and you have Feast to finish it off, so it's not really a 50-50 Baron if they come slowly.
And this is what they do. They recall.
I was like, I thought there was no more to this replay.
The replay doesn't go any further, but
that's the situation that got them to the late game situation where Huni was crazy. And also, I got a question for you, Santorin. We were hypothesizing that maybe there was a little bit of FlyQuest PTSD for TSM. Like, they had lost to a solo split pusher pushing their base. Do you feel like TSM might have been overly defensive for most of the game in fear of getting backdoored?
I can definitely see that point, but I think if I played against like us and like we see how it went out, it's because they went down mid. So make a play around Baron, like force something,
mid.
just force something. And it's like going down mid, like they did it in this game too. It's like if you go to Baron, they have to face check, and if they face check, you get a fight, which you'll probably win. And if you win a fight, you get Baron. And then once you're a Baron, it's like you can just go to the Nali and just push him out all the way, and you'll probably win the game.
I've got a follow-up to that, and this is a somewhat loaded question, but we have seen so many games end in this fashion, this split in the NALCS, as compared to almost any split in history, let alone the most recent ones. Why is this happening all of a sudden? Have teams forgotten all of a sudden how to play the macro game? Is this a result of split pushers just being more viable, damage? Like, where are these game endings coming from?
I think it's a bit of both. Like the people play like stuff like Jace and stuff like that you can actually push turrets really fast. And it's a lot of time it's like Nah versus Cho'Gath. Matchups where it's like you need to help the Cho'Gath or make a play, like either or. And if you don't make a play, it's gonna look like this game, for example. And I think that's because of also bad macro.
Yeah, I think what was interesting too is at the start of the split, when there was so much going on with the funnel and the bruisers bot lane and the mages bot lane, we were told by a couple different teams like, you can't split push in this meta. There's no chance.
Right.
And so it's possible that people kind of like forgot how to play against it. Like, top lane carries were still a thing. There was, the Darius and stuff like that, but Darius is not like a split push 1v5 in the game kind of guy. Whereas we're starting to see more of that, and if people were not practicing against split push, they might have forgot how to react.
Final point.
I think people are also more willing to play chicken with it. Huni's build is never going to teleport into a team fight. He will die in 2 seconds. So he's actually just way more one-dimensional about it and forces the issue. So either he kills the Nexus or his team just gets run over by 5 people. You're forcing the issue. Previously, we'd see so many more people just teleport into a team fight, and it becomes this kind of wash.
Well, the craziness continues here in the NALCS. Santorin, thank you so much for being here for this game specifically. Right? Exactly. I'm so glad we secured you for this one. Up next, we've got 100 Thieves versus Golden Guardians. And later on NALCS Tonight, we're bringing back League Pictionary with Freak, Zyrene, and Aframu, and Otto. Stick around during the break to vote on what they drop.
Turns back into minion R right as Griggs shows up, making sure that he makes the gank onto that more vulnerable opposing player at first blood.
I'm moving up. I'm coming first. I'm coming first. Come on, Varus. Chase. Oh, I'm just gonna base. I'm gonna base. Let's go.
Cho. You guys are gonna win. Cho no flash. Oh, you guys can go. I think that guy still has no flash, Huni. I'm not sure though. Nice, boys.
Finding there over the wall. Oh my God! Gameplay button.
There was a Morgana there 1 second ago, I swear to you.
I got Lucian. Okay. I'll start to die here.
I'm dead. Ali will die. They're all on Huni.
I got Lucian. Back. Two for two. Hella good.
They've got to try to get out of here as Echo Fox wants to end the game. I think this is Huni on an axis. He's got the minion wave. He's got lost. And Echo Fox has got their win.
Welcome to Level Up, presented by State Farm. With Kindred back in the meta, we want to make sure you know how to use and wolf down those passive marks. At 0 stacks, Kindred has an auto attack range of 500, the same as Lucian. At 4 stacks, Lamb and Wolf unlock a bonus 75 range. This puts Kindred on par with Varus. Pick up early marks found on easier to execute camps, both in the jungle and in lane. And you could, theoretically, outrange any marksman in the game.